Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for the inconvenience caused, and thank you for joining in early. A to G welcomes you all to the first of its webinar series of 2023, and thanks you today for such a motivating response. Lately, we have received a number of updates towards fulfilling our compliances and a series of notifications and directions from the various regulatory authorities directing towards EPR and PWM compliances. Today, we focus on all such communications combined together. Our agenda is to focus on transaction details of purchase and sales of plastic packaging done by producers, importers, and brand owners, annual returns filing and renewal, and various other regulatory notifications. Our guest speakers today are Mr. Jeevraj Pillai and Mr. K. Ganesh. Session speakers are Mr. Vikash Garg and Mr. Abhishek Garg. I would like to take you all through the meeting rules. Please be noted that the meeting will be recorded. The meeting shall be based on Chatham rules. That is, only the discussions would be recorded without attributing to the speakers. Q&A session shall be taken in the last. Kindly restrict the discussion to the mentioned topic. Note that all the attendees are on mute. For any queries, please use the raise hand feature. The moderator shall unmute and allow to speak in the Q&A round. Kindly introduce yourself briefly and your organization and ask the question. You may also please keep entering your queries in the chat box. Now, I would request Mr. K. Ganesh, Senior General Manager from Bisleri International Private Limited, to speak a few words.
Hi, good afternoon, friends. We welcome you all for this webinar. Firstly, I'm thankful to AA Garg for arranging this beautiful webinar, and which is the need of the hour to say, like, yes, we each work on the CPCB portal and MOEFC's notification orders, but there are some clarities which are required. So I appreciate that AA Garg had made an attempt to ensure that the clarities is being ratified or justified and given clarification, detailed clarifications on all the points and aspects. Yes, I am K. Ganesh from Bisleri. I take care of the corporate affairs and the EPR part and sustainability also for Bisleri. Okay, and I have been associated Bisleri for the last 13 years. I am also the packaging expert and then been working closely with the Packaging Committee of India and also associations like PACE and IBA. Okay, I take this opportunity to introduce you on the plastic waste management. The plastic waste management started in the year 2016, as we all know, and slowly got transformed. In 2018, there was a notification directions from the CPCB telling that all the PIBOs need to be registered. So we were one among the first brand owners to get registered in 2018 long back. That was a manual mode. We need to submit our applications with all the papers that time. And later on, it got transformed in 2022. It was an online portal application wherein we uploaded the cumulative data, maybe the plastic purchases, the sales, and the recycling certificates. Okay. Now again, it got transformed, and now they had asked us to provide all the data in the portal, uploaded in the portal, that is a real time. So for which also we had discussed with various concerned officers in the MOEFCC and CPCB with the help of AA Garg and with the help of the associations. Like we had asked them if the entries are going to be more, how can we enter, whether we can have a bulk entry in the form of Excel sheet and we can enter only specific invoices, not all the invoices, because it will be a very cumbersome process. And also the username password is being provided to a particular person for the company. So it's going to be a very important task also, and ensure that there is no any mistakes to be there when we are entering the documents in the portal. So primarily that is very important. Also this time they are categorized as category 1, 2, 3, and 4. Earlier it was only plastic. So now this time they are categorized category 1, category 2, category 3, category 4. So when we enter our requirements, it should be entered as category wise. Also, I proudly tell that Bisleri International Private Limited, as per the earlier regulations 2018, we were asked to comply 100% for the EPR by 2020. So that's why from 2020 onwards, we are a plastic neutral company and we started doing 100% collection on the consumptions which we do. And we still follow the same. We are one among the first companies here. And along with our EPR activities, we also do lots of awareness sessions with respect to the plastics, how the plastic should be managed. It's called Bottle for Change. And we are working in 7 cities and 8 municipal corporations. And we had collected around 4,000 metric tons of plastic through this program. It's only purely a CSR program, nothing connected with EPR. So all these challenges are there, and I request AA Gar to kindly clarify on the points which is being raised by our friends over here. And I am also here. If at all anything is required, I am there to clarify them also. Thank you so much once again to AA Gar team for giving me the opportunity to be a speaker today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. Really appreciate your time. Now, I would like Mr. Vikash Garg to take the PPT onwards.
Sir, you're on
Vic,
mute. Sir, you're on mute.
So sorry. Thank you everyone for coming here together to understand the current landscape of the compliances under the EPR under PWM rules. We are all on the same page. I understand that yes, the new compliances have kept coming up from last year until this year, and a lot of requirements, lot of things to be complied with, and always a short time given by CPCB. So yes, what we will do is we'll take you through certain specific agendas of this seminar, wherein we'll be covering the procurement and sales invoices upload requirement of CPCB, which is in sync with the recent notification made by them on 21st of February as well. Apart from the last notification wherein they had published that this is required to be done under the Section 5 of the EPA Act. Then we'll be also touching upon the annual returns filing requirement as well as the renewal of the registration in case any PIBOs registration has already expired or is going to expire in next few months. Ipsita, are you going to share the presentation? Yes. Yes, I can see. I hope everybody is able to see the deck on the screen. I'll move on. So, Ipsita, let's move on to the next slide. So this is the overall, highlight or the agenda of this current meeting, wherein we all have the common objective of understanding and demystifying the requirements for upload of the information, which is a mammoth task. A lot of information are required by CPCB, and there is a deadline given by them, which is 15 days, which is essentially 8th of February, by which we have to comply with this requirement. Then soon we are going to end with the FY 22-23. So we'll be required to file our annual returns by 30th of June, for which we need to ensure certain minimum information collation and readiness in order to do that timely, which we'll discuss in further details in upcoming slides. And yes, the renewal, wherein again, some of the companies' EPR registration has already expired. Some are able to see the renew tab. However, CPCB has currently communicated that we should wait for their further instructions on this regard, which is still awaited and in due course. So I'll take each of these bit one by one so that information is understood clearly. Ipsita, next slide. Yes. So this is the notice that we are displaying on the page, wherein you can see it was published on 21st of February, requiring the upload of the GST e-invoices, which is required to be done by the producers, importers, and brand owners. And while this has been communicated around November 2022 and subsequently a notice that was circulated by CPCB on 21st or 22nd of December 2022, they have now observed that a lot of PIBOs have not yet initiated doing this activity, and which they through this notice are sensitizing everybody who have registered that this is a very important requirement, and if we do not do, we are liable to the environment compensation. So we should take this quite seriously. In order to comply with this requirement, we need to now internally align with different teams in terms of the various data points that are required, because believe me, yes, it is a heavy information requirement for which we'll need to engage even the procurement, the finance team, and even the packaging team to collect each part of the information. So to understand what is this requirement, we have prepared this kind of a illustration which will help us to better understand what exactly CPCB is asking. Instead of taking you through the screenshot of the portal wherein they have generated a form and we are required to key in the details, which I am sure everybody would have now seen until now. So while we'll take it up separately, I'll first take you through what are we expecting there. So the first thing is, suppose take an example of I'm a brand owner and I'm required to comply with this requirement. So I'll have to upload the details of all the procurement of plastic packaging that I would have done in FY 22-23 from various suppliers. So then I'll be collecting all the information as a brand owner for the different suppliers, as you can see on the screen. So for example, the supplier name AYK Private Limited. So we have picked up one supplier as example. But within this supplier, since I'm procuring multiple types of plastic packaging, as you can see, the material type column wherein you see LDP, PET, SDP. So three types of plastic materials. So if I have these 10 invoices, then I'll need to club all of these invoices and bring to a unique level, meaning that I'll have to so there are two options. One, I can upload each of these line items one by one on the portal, or I can do a bulk upload. For doing the bulk upload, I'll need to club all of these invoices at the supplier, material, and the category level, which I'll show you in the next screen. Just move on, Ipsita. So for example, the first two invoices I have clubbed in a single row, which means that AYK Private Limited is supplying LDP material, which falls under category 2, and the two invoices of this have been clubbed as one, and this becomes a 10 metric ton information. So this data I'll be entering into the portal. Instead of two invoices, I'll enter just one information data point in the form, and then I'll have to choose one sample invoice out of the two invoices, and I'll have to merge that invoice along with the bottom table that you can see, which has the two invoice details. So basically, suppose as example, I'm purchasing certain material from one supplier and there are 10 invoices for the same material. I'll have to, in a paper, in a sheet, in an Excel sheet, I'll have to display all of those 10 invoices, but I have to upload only one sample invoice out of those 10 invoices. So this is how the bottom table is being converted into a PDF that is being merged with a sample invoice, and then this converted and merged PDF is required to be uploaded on the portal along with the details that we have to enter from the first table, as you can see on the screen. I understand this is a little bit complicated, so I'll at the cost of repetition, I'll again try to explain this. So in case we have a 10 invoices from a supplier for a similar material and similar category, we have to club all of those information into an Excel sheet, so that we have to enter just one line item in the portal, and then we have those 10 invoices in an Excel sheet, convert that into PDF, merge that with a single sample invoice, and make a consolidated document and upload along with that entry. And that is how we are going to do it. So in a larger case, suppose we have 50,000 invoices, we might end up uploading only 500 uploads at a time. We for all the 50,000, that will be clubbed into 500 samples, and then 500 will be uploaded on the portal. So we can do away with individual entries at each invoice level and reduce a lot of time and effort, which is kind of manual as of now. Okay, Ipsita, move on. So this is the format, as you can see on the screen, which is visible under our login credentials as a PI or BO, wherein, as you can see, we are required to capture the information of the suppliers at 16 data points. Starting with, we have to identify them as a registered or unregistered, because there are different tabs for uploading the information. So currently we are taking a case of the unregistered supplier, wherein if the supplier is unregistered, I have to identify their entity type, whether they are a producer or a other category, then their name of that entity, the state basis their address, or as per the address given in the invoice. We have to key in the address here, key in the mobile number of the supplier, then key in the material type like SDP, LDP or PET, and then the category of the plastic. So you can see the kind of information that they require, and then the financial year. So this information is required to be uploaded as on from 1st April 22 onwards. So since today we are on 24th of Feb, I can safely say that we can easily upload the data for the last 10 months as on date. Then we have to upload the date of invoice, the total plastic quantity against those invoices that we have clubbed. As you saw that we suppose we club the 10 invoices and the total metric ton is 100, then we have to key in that 100 tons here, not the specific invoice wise. We have to also provide the recycled plastic percentage if there is any in those purchased materials. The total GST amount paid along with the GST number of the supplier and the invoice number. Now this is critical. Since we have clubbed 10 invoices into one, we have to put any one of those invoice numbers and attach that invoice number along with the PDF, which you see in the last form wherein we have to upload the GST e-invoice. So this is required to be done in two situations. Suppose a BO is procuring the material from a registered entity or an unregistered entity. So this form is for an unregistered supplier, in which case the BO will have to input 16-point details on the portal. Now, the alternative is that the producer or the supplier of the material himself being registered uploads all of these data points on the portal. The similar form, everything is same. The supplier can input all of these details instead of brand owner putting all of these details. And then once the supplier puts in these details, supplier will be required to provide you a EPR invoice number. Meaning that out of 10 invoices, if they have uploaded one invoice number, that invoice number I'll need from the producer to key in my another section wherein they would have already uploaded. So if I move on to the next slide. So this is the screen wherein if my supplier is registered and they have already uploaded the information, then I key in that invoice number and I can pull all the details. So system will fetch all the details from the portal and I'll be saved from uploading 16-point details on the portal. However, the important thing here is that what supplier is going to upload and what I am going to upload. There is a reconciliation requirement in terms of the plastic category, in terms of the quantity, and in terms of the invoices and the transactions, which is a huge and mammoth exercise, and it is required so that we avoid any kind of a misreporting, which will otherwise implicate us for any environment compensation or the penalty. On this slide, we have summarized the kind of details and the interventions required for the PI and BO. So basically, the brand owner can input only that EPR e-invoice number and fetch all the details, provided the registered supplier has already keyed on the details. However, in case a supplier is not registered, the brand owner himself will have to input all the details. In case of a producer, again, if a producer is procuring certain plastic packaging materials from another registered producer, they can fetch the details if their supplier has inputted the details. And in case of unregistered entity, they will have to manually include all the details. In case of importers, since the procurement is done from out of country suppliers, then all the information are required to be entered manually at the invoice level. See, the similar option of bulk upload feature is available for all the categories: producer, importer, and brand owner. So while we can say that although CPCB has provided the bulk upload feature, however, it's not that we just upload one Excel sheet and our work is done. There is at the backend lot of information exchange, collation, and veracity checks are required before we even upload. The reason being, once the information is uploaded, it cannot be edited or deleted. And that's where it can create a problem while filing the annual return in terms of the target that will be calculated, which is auto calculated from the system, that will be based on what we have reported last year or during the registration, what we are going to populate in terms of the procurement details, and what we are going to file as a EPR certificate on the portal. So it's a three-way match basis with the CPCB will be generating the targets for your current next financial year, which is FY23 and 24. Now, considering all of these issues that we have come across in terms of, collecting the data, then creating PDFs, merging it with the sample invoices, we have developed a solution, and we are going to present to you that in terms of a short video as to how that can be achieved in a simpler and a shorter time, and we can comply within this 15 days timeline given by CPCB. So
EPR regulations requires PIBOs to provide purchase and sales information of plastic packaging at the GST invoice level for the fiscal year 2022-2023. In a large-scale industry, it's common for the number of invoices to exceed 50,000 per year. In addition to invoices, there are 16 other data points that need to be considered, while the uploaded data has to be within the portal's specified size limit, i.e., 2 MB. Generally, one dedicated resource takes a day to upload approximately 100 entries manually, which is time-consuming and error-prone. Further, one also stands accountable for the risks that the data cannot be edited once it has been uploaded, adding to the chances of human error and extremely stringent timeline. Looking at the time, efforts, manual errors, we bring to you our Smart Tech tool. This is how our Smart tool helps. Simple process: first enter email ID, enter password, wait and then the OTP, and then click Go. Select your obligated category. Select the purchase or sales details to be uploaded. Select files to be uploaded. This tool can also help to convert files to PDF format, if needed, and prepares them for upload. Let the bot do its job. The tool then generates an output exception report. Benefits of using our tool: speed, accuracy, perform 10 times more, error-free, 1000 entries in a day, non-stop, it can work 24 hours. File conversion, auto upload, exception error report, tested and proven. We do not stop here. We have also developed a standard operating procedure to run a standard process for data collection, data sanitization and data ready for submission internally to align with the portal procedure. Intelligence combines with automation, giving a simplified solution. Come connect with A2G to help you solve this compliance requirement with technology.
Yes, sir, you're on mute.
So we have done multiple trials wherein we have seen that the as a humanly one person can enter not more than 100 entries, because there are 16 data points and a lot of drop down menus are there. A lot of typing is required while inputting the data. So this should solve some of the problems definitely. While this is an input tool on the CPCB portal, a backend information collation, analysis, synthesizing, and the veracity checks are to be done definitely manually, and that's where the value add is required. So we can then move on to the next part of the session, which is the annual returns filing. Now, the annual returns filing are due on 30th of June 2023 for FY 22-23. However, currently the CPCB portal is giving a message that it will be enabled from 1st April 2023. Enough SOP and guidelines are yet to be published by CPCB as to what is the modality for filing annual return, what all information is required. However, basis the current information available and our understanding, we understand that definitely three things are to be done in order to ensure that we are able to file annual return. One, ensuring the EPR credit certificate from the registered PWPs towards the achievement of our CPCB targets as per the plan of action given in the certificate. Then upload of the procurement and sales details at the invoice level or using the bulk upload feature, which we have to do as per the current notice. And third is the plastic packaging consumption for FY 22-23 is required to be uploaded. So these are the three key requirements which we, if we are ready with timely, then we can ensure that the annual returns are filed within time. Then as a lot of PIBOs would be able to log into their portal and will be able to see the snapshot of the screen wherein they have already shown the annual return filing button. And if we click on the same, we reach on this screen, wherein on the left hand side, you can see certain additional tabs have been added: annual filing, annual consumption, state-wise plastic waste generation, and the annual report. On this screen, on the right hand side, you will see there is a add data button wherein we are required to add the details of the plastic consumption for the FY 22-23 by category. Let's move on to the next screen. So this is the screen wherein we have to input the total consumption of the plastic packaging for FY 22-23 for 4 categories. Once we input this detail, let's move on to the next screen. Once we input those details, then we are required to add data state-wise, wherein we can add the breakup of the total consumption by state that we have introduced in each and every state through our products and or commodities. And in case of rigid, one important point that the rigid plastic packaging introduced in the market has to be further bifurcated into three categories: less than zero point 0.9 liter or kg, zero point 0.9 liter or kg to less than 4.9 liter or kg, and then above 4.9 liter or kg. So these are the required data points. So while doing a footprint calculation or a plastic consumption details, these data points should be kept in mind and accordingly populated in order to be ready for filing the annual return. Then on this is the screen wherein the state-wise input can be done for each of the plastic categories for both pre and post-consumer plastic packaging. And then we are ready to file the report. So these are the three things, as we said. One good news is that already PWPs have started generating the online EPR credit certificate. So please reach out to your agencies or the PWPs to understand what is the status of the certificate generation or what is the status of the physical audit of their facilities, basis which they will be able to generate. And today, being we are towards the end of February, we need to ensure that the certificates are handy, available before the due date of the annual return. Now, we have also developed a tool, Power BI based tool, wherein we can help PIBOs in computing their plastic consumption and the plastic footprint at various categories level as required by CPCB. It can be customized to your requirement to suit your internal system of capturing information. So once this is done and set up, it can help you year on year compute these details with very minimal human intervention. It can give you a real-time update of the footprint on a quarterly basis, on a yearly basis, at various SKU level, at various primary, secondary, tertiary level kind of a cuts. And it can also seamlessly integrate with your internal ERP systems like SAP, Tally, or other systems, wherein the data can be directly pulled and you can get the footprint view instead of collecting information from multiple stakeholders every time and then collecting the information. Then this is the screenshot of the credit being generated by the PWPs and allocating it to the brand owner. As you can see, this is a screenshot from a brand owner registration wherein the credit has been generated and allocated. At the bottom side, if you see, there is a generation ID, category of plastic, processing type, the denomination of the certificate, and the status, which is success. So this is how now you will be able to see the certificates being generated and allocated to you through the PWPs within your EPR portal. So you will need to log into your portal and check about that. Yes. Lastly, the renewal bit, wherein CPCB has already built the renewal application module. But however, they have currently asked to hold on to the renewal registrations because they are making certain changes within the portal and they will be coming out with certain more communications. While you may be seeing your renew application feature, but we should hold on to that. Second, the renewal button is going to be the renewal button that we see, that is only giving certain that is asking only very bare minimum details currently. So we don't know what is going to be asked by CPCB additionally. And we are in constant touch with them as and when any further communication comes from them, we'll be definitely updating you all with respect to going ahead with the renewal registration. While we are required to apply for the renewal 120 days prior to the expiry of our registration, one critical thing here is that on the portal, this button appears only when the certificate has expired. So on the date of expiry or on the next date of the expiry, we'll be able to see this button. So this is from my side, wherein I have covered the procurement details update, the annual returns filing, and the renewal. Feel free to put your queries here in the chat box and we can in the meantime address these queries, and else we can also wait for the last part of the Q&A session. Thank you everyone. Thanks for having me, and I hope I have been able to address a lot of queries from your side while we still await to hear more from you. Thank you. Good day.
Thank you, Mr. Vikash. It was really an insightful session. Now I invite Mr. Abhishek Garg to take up front the various regulatory notifications that we have received till date.
Hi everyone, and thanks to all of you to sparing out time on this Friday to know about the very critical rule, which is the PWM rule and the latest updates. I'll not take much time of yours, and we'll try to spend more time on the queries. And I see there's a lot of questions and queries already flowing in, but just trying to summarize things. I'm pretty sure all of you would already be aware about the recent notifications and notices which are issued. So just to give you a glimpse and the summary and what are the recent notifications and the guidelines which are issued by the various regulatory authorities. So there has been three different public documents being published by MOFCCs. There's an order published by Custom Authority of Nava Shiva, Mumbai, Maharashtra. There are certain guidelines and directions issued by the CPCB, and there is something issued some notifications issued by respective SPCB. So for MOFCC, there are three things. First is that they recently in the Lok Sabha, there has been some question which has been raised on the EPR and the plastic waste management rules, for which MOFCC has reverted to that. And there are two office memorandums issued by MOFCC on the clarification under the PWM rules and the EPR guidelines. For the customs, they have clarified Custom Authority of Nava Shiva, Mumbai Port. They have clarified about registration requirement and what needs to be done, which we'll go and see. And for CPCB, there has been four specific notice and direction which has been issued recently. The first one, which already Vikas sir has taken us through, about the requirement of uploading the transaction of purchase and sales. And there has been some relevant notification also issued in the section 5. So we'll go through that and the SPCB. Yeah, Ipshita. So the first one, wherein wherein in the Lok Sabha there was a question asked about whether the about the implementation of the EPR, and several questions for which MOFCC has reverted back as a as an response to the questions raised under the Lok Sabha, and they have confirmed that there has been a mandatory targets for the PIBOs and the companies for for circularity targets regarding reuse of rigid packaging, minimum level of plastic recycling, and all those additional obligations. They have further said in the revert to the Lok Sabha that for the compostable plastic packaging, the EPR target will be 100% from FY 23-24. Also, they have again clarified, and these all are things already available, and in the guidelines they have picked up the important sections from the guideline and reverted to the government, reverted to the parliament. Also, they have further said there are various schemes with technical financial assistance which has been put forward by the MSM GST Council Secretariat and Department of Chemicals and Petrochemicals. Moving on. Further, there was a recent office memorandum issued by MOFCC clarifying and clarification regarding the rigid plastic drums, the industrial plastic drums. So they have issued a clarified against the reuse obligation of brand owners subject to the this industrial plastic drums, wherein they have clarified saying these industrial plastic drum are to be considered under the rigid plastic packaging category, which is category 1. And yes, all the compliances and the targets needs to be fulfilled. So this rigid plastic drums need to be covered under your plastic packaging obligations. On top of that, they have also clarified that plastic crates as being a product are not to be considered under the EPR, because those are the products, not the packaging. So this notice came on 14th February recently. Go ahead, Ipshna. Moving on, MOFCC further released on 6 January a clarification, and this clarification is basically with reference to the EPR registration, and this need not to be mixed with the already registered people. So to ensure the maximum registration happens, and there are certain clarification they have provided under this office memorandum. They have clarified on the definitions of the who is the producer and who are the brand owners. Further, they have clarified that producer are the entities who are into the manufacturing and production of plastic packaging only, and brand owners and the exemption of micro and small is only applicable to the brand owners, not the producers. Further, they have further confirmed that enterprise are encouraged to register and come under the EPR ambit based on their based on their EPR target basis the enterprises self declaration, and based on which are based on the audited account statement for the registration purpose. Further, they have clarified under the same memorandum that verification of detailed invoices of last 2 years wherever required on need basis as a part of auditing could be asked for. So one of the clear update here, that for example for the registration purpose, the system was again requiring the details of procurement and sales for last 2 years at the invoice level, which they confirmed, in which they saying sample invoice could be done and this bulk upload can be facilitated for applying for registration. However, the government CPCB can ask you details and those invoices for audit purpose in future. So we need to be careful when we are providing all these details on the portal. We need to check that properly and ensure we are providing the detail after checking all the parameters, because this can be in future very well audited by the CPCB. Move ahead. Yeah. Further, CPCB has issued directions for the GST related invoice transaction, which we already covered in the upcoming slide. This was the notification issued by CPCB on 21st of this December 2022, wherein they have asked the PIBOs to update the transaction of purchase and sales at the invoice level initially, and that is where they have asked the entities to go ahead and update. And on follow up of to that, the recent notice on 21st February, which we just seen in the webinar. Further, they have said that the details of plastic packaging transaction between PIBOs and the PWPs are required for the EPR target calculations, cross-checking of transaction between the PIBOs, and also generation of EPR certificates between the PWPs and the PIBOs. On top of this, EC will be applicable for the non-compliance, which they have again on the follow-up notice clarified that, and they have asked for the GST invoice level details for the transaction of purchase and sales. So in all, the requirement of providing the transaction details for purchase and sales of plastic packaging needs to be provided very quickly, as they have been now following up and they are looking forward. If non-compliance is observed, they can very well go ahead and charge under the EPA. Move ahead, Ipshita. On top of that, recently on 13th December 2022, CPCB issued a notice to specified e-commerce companies, and they have issued a show cause notice for non-compliance to these e-commerce companies, and this non-compliance ranges around continued usage of banned single-use plastic items, the non-compliance toward thickness of plastic packaging they are using, the thickness of carry bags, and thickness of non-woven plastic carry bags. The show cause notice was issued for the following action, which is closure of operations of units and levying EC for non-compliance of PWM provisions. So it is getting more stricter, and the CPCB is now getting behind checking the compliances and penalizing for non-compliances if observed. Go ahead, Ipshita. Yeah. So further, CPCB issued a directive to SPCBs and PCCs, wherein on 7th of February, wherein they have clarified that CPCB has not issued any certificate or issued any certificate for biodegradable plastics till now. They have observed certain non-compliances, and let me read it out for you. That manufacturers and sellers of biodegradable and compostable plastics are required to be certified by CPCB. CPCB has not issued any certificate for manufacture of biodegradable plastics till date. So any company, anyone selling you saying that this is a biodegradable plastic, that is not acceptable, because as per this notice, there is no single one who has been given authorization by CPCB under the biodegradable plastics. Further, oxo biodegradable plastics are not exempted under the plastic waste management rules as a biodegradable. So CPCB has observed certain plastic being sold as oxo biodegradable, and people may be understanding it as a biodegradable. Hence, they have confirmed that oxo biodegradable is not covered under the ambit of the biodegradable, and which are not exempted under the PWM rules. And CPCB has also identified industries manufacturing compostable plastic with fault identities. So in all, CPCB has given directions to SPCB and PCCs to ensure there are regular inspection are being done for industries who are manufacturing banned SUPs, regular inspection only to certified industries to manufacture, regular inspection permitting only certified industry to manufacture and sell the biodegradable plastics, and to ensure that carry bags of thickness less than permitted microns are not there. So further, all in all, the CPCB is not issuing directives and observing non-compliance and taking actions, issuing notices to SPCBs and other regulatory authorities. And on response to that, there are SPCBs issuing their notice on their individual capacity, further making the rule compliance stringent for non-compliance. Move it, Ipshita. On the response to so many notices, we have now started receiving the guidelines or publication from the various state pollution control boards. One of the control board is Himachal Pradesh state pollution control board, in which they have issued a notice on 3rd of February 2023, where they have clearly said failure to compliance or contravention of PWM rule shall be punishable with imprisonment extending to 5 years or fine of up to rupees 1 lakh or both. In case of continuous failure or contravention, additional fine of rupees 5,000 per day shall be levied. And for a continuous failure or contravention for a period beyond 1 year after the date of conviction, the offender shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term extending to 7 years. And this is a generic notice for the entire industries operating under the Himachal Pradesh State Pollution Control Board. Yeah. And on top of that, the custom authorities have also issued the notice of public order, wherein the key takeaways they have said that customs clarified that due to new requirements of registration under the PWM rules, and in order to not hold consignments and support supply chain custom clearance, following steps are adopted by the customs. Importers of goods wrapped, packed in plastic packaging to upload EPR registration in Sanchit at the time of filing of bill of entry. So to facilitate and streamline the supply chain and ensure there is no disruption in the supply chain, custom is asking for uploading the EPR, your EPR registration certificate in the on the e-Sanchit portal while you are applying for bill of entry. In case of applications, your EPR registration is in application stage, is awaiting approval, then the application stage status or application status document can be uploaded in the eSanchit portal while you are applying for the bill of entry. Further, this application status will be monitored by the custom authority as well. The Deputy Commissioner of Charge of Consignment shall share the list of consignments cleared by the Custom Port Authority with the CPCB as well. In case of any rejection action against such consignments, an importer shall be taken under section 111 and 112 of the Customs Act 1962 and shall be reported to the customer. So even customs authorities are extending their supporting hand and asking to streamline this process. So whomsoever who has registered, they can upload their EPR certificate with the bill of entry application and get the imports consignment released without any hassle. And similar for the EPR registration application, EPR registration which are in application stage. So yeah, this is so about, yeah, Ipshita, any further? So yes, so there are multiple things, notices and multiple things are happening in this industry and sector, and it is very good to be, updated about the, these things happening and updates on the same. So we are we'll again connect back with you all for your questions. So yeah, Ipshita, over to you.
I'll just clarify on one common query that I'm seeing. Yes, the sales details are required to be uploaded by importer and the producers, not by the brand owners at the invoice level. We can further clarify in the Q&A session now.
Thank you, Mr. Abhishek and Mr. Vikash, for your insightful details on various notifications released and the various updates that we have seen in the EPR portal under plastic waste management rules. Thank you so much for everyone's participation. It was really motivating,
Thank
and
you.
yes, we are overwhelmed with your responses.